Colombo, the very latest from the Central Bank Governor Ajith Cabraal. Ajith Cabraal, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Unchanged, what was the reason behind that lack of any policy shift?
I think the measures that we have taken last month, particularly some strong measures with regard to the retardation of credit growth as well as import demand, so that we deal with the trade deficit imbalance that was being created, are sufficient to deal with the situation as it is. And we would watch very carefully the developments over the next 2 months before we take another decision. Our view was that since these measures have been put in place and the government has cooperated by increasing the fuel prices so that there will be an automatic tendency for the reduction of imports as well, that we may not need to do anything further, but we will still watch very carefully to see whether anything else is warranted, and if so, we have the space to do that.
Well, would you say you're more hawkishly biased or more dovishly biased at the moment looking ahead?
Yes, we are. We do understand that the rate decision as well of last month, as well as what we have done in the credit ceilings that we have placed overall to the banking sector, would have a natural retardation, and that's one of the reasons that we reduced our projection for growth down from 8% that we had projected at the beginning of the year to 7.2% now. But that's a sacrifice that we will all have to make in growth in order to ensure that there is stability for the future and that the inflation will be in controllable numbers going into the next 18 months. So the decision was actually based on the fundamentals being retained in their current benign levels, and that I think would be something that we will achieve in the next few months going forward.
Yeah. Looking at this, I mean, does the weakness of the rupee, the Sri Lankan rupee at the moment concern you? Because in itself it can be pretty inflationary.
Yes. The Sri Lankan rupee intervention that we had has changed now. Earlier it was a price-based intervention, but now we would, for a short period of time, allow a certain depreciation based on the intervention that we will do, particularly with the quantity being provided to the market in the short term. But thereafter, we expect the rupee to behave on its own, and with the expected inflows over the next few months, particularly to the Tier 2 capital of the banks, as well as other new remittances that are due to come in from various sources, we expect the rupee to stabilize over time, and the import demand being reduced over the next few months will certainly help the rupee to stay stable in the next few months as well.
Ajith Cabraal, a very quick word on what we had out of, we had Fitch and Standard & Poor's reducing their sovereign rating on Sri Lanka. I think that it's stable from being positive before S&P. Now, what does that mean in terms of your ability to borrow, A, and B, will you be going for any sovereign bond issuance this year?
The only rating agency that reduced the outlook was S&P, and we are in conversation with Fitch. But if you look at the bonds being traded, Sri Lankan bonds, it has actually done better than some time ago. So we see the investors not being too concerned about the story coming out of Sri Lanka. And they will also see that the measures that we are taking indicates that we are prepared to take the necessary measures, that we have the space to take the necessary measures, and that we have the confidence to take the necessary measures. So I think that is not lost on many investors. And if we do go in for another bond issue, we would expect it to perform very well, as they have done in the past. And many investors, and in fact, told us so, and that they would be watching the markets closely to see when Sri Lanka would come with the next bond issue. But we have not taken a decision so far, but it's likely to be taken in the next few weeks as to when Sri Lanka would be issuing a bond. But right now, it's not definite.
Ajith Cabraal, thank you so much. And that is the outlook there from S&P, I should say. It's stable now for Sri Lanka. The outlook there was positive before. And